So you want to study architecture in uni and you are asked to submit a portfolio with some creative works in it. However, you haven't taken any subjects that are creative, such as art, graphic design or photography in your A-levels, BTech, IB or whatever course you are doing. And that's a stressful time, because not only you are focused on your overall application and your exams, but you have to also do some work that will eventually allow you to make a portfolio out of it. However, I don't want to stress you that much, because there are a couple of ways that you can produce work at the last minute that will help you to make a good portfolio at the end. Hey everyone, this is Take. I'm currently studying architecture in London, and in this video I'm gonna look at the several ways that you can use in order to produce work to make a really good portfolio for your architecture application. So the first thing is that, let's say you live in a big city such as London, New York, LA, Hong Kong, Berlin, whatever it is, and most likely you will have in your area like some art centers. Now I doubt it, because during the time of recording this video, when we are like in the middle of a global pandemic, I doubt like some art centers are going to be open. However, you can look into their online websites or just email them if they have any project or courses like extracurricular stuff that they are providing. Because from my experiences, there are many like art centers or like just creative community centers around the towns. They usually provide a lot of creative extracurricular activities. I myself, when I did my portfolio, one of the projects that I've included was a project that I've completed during the summer in my local art center. And if you don't live in a big city, like you live in a small town or like moderate town, but you don't have like art centers that provide this type of services, in that case don't worry about that, because there are other ways that you can take part in activities outside of school that are related to architecture or the creative industry. So let's say you don't have an art center, or like the art center of your local community, they don't offer any activities that are related to architecture, like any creative things, like I mean adapt like creative things, like science is the art center. But yeah, let's say they're not doing anything, like maybe because of the pandemic. And in that case, if you have any universities local to you, try to reach to those universities if they offer anything to do with like art or like spatial design. In many cases, if these universities they have the course of architecture or even interior design or something related to architecture, like something creative, they'll offer summer school, winter school, autumn schools throughout the year that are related to the course like architecture, interior design or like any creative courses. For example, last year when I've applied in 2020, early 2020, but yeah, in 2019-2020 I've taken part in so many extracurricular activities related to architecture, and they're all in UAL at the University of the Arts London, where I'm currently also doing a foundation course in architecture. And most of these activities, not most of them, like UAL they offer it for free, but like some universities they might charge some fees on it. But if you look into their websites, they might have any other ways that they might grant a scholarship for this summer school, winter school, or this 1 week or 2 weeks course to give you some insight on the subject. Obviously, I'm aware that, as I said, that also that during this pandemic, currently they are probably unable to make on-campus visits or insight programs. However, most likely they might have any online programs instead. So try to go in their website and look for any activities related to architecture, if they offer any, and if they have any online currently. And even if you're like doing any creative courses such as art or graphic design, as myself I did it as well, it's a really good idea to take part in these programs, because not only they will give you an insight on how the course is delivered and how they're teaching it, but also most of the time you'll produce some work, even though it's not gonna be the best, because if they're like short of 5 days programs, so like 2 weeks program, it's going to be really difficult to produce something really good during this limited amount of time that you're given. However, they can be like really useful to put in a portfolio. If you already watched the video where I shared my portfolio that I used to apply to my selected universities, you'll see that most of my projects, actually like 3 out of the 5 projects that I've included, are extracurricular, and they were like done into like this type of activities and programs that I've taken part in. The second thing that you can do is to make and develop your own projects. I know this can sound a bit intimidating and also confusing, because you'll probably not be used to make and develop your own projects, because in this case you have to be both the teacher that's going to plan out everything and also the student that's going to do the work. But there are a couple of ways that you can develop your own projects and also also produce really good outcomes at the end. By having done design-based courses for the past couple of years, something that I've noticed is that the process is really similar. And let me give you an example on how I personally would do and also currently doing it right now in university. Okay, the first thing to do on making your own project is to just find out a bunch of words that you're interested in, and this can be simply by just finding out and selecting a specific theme. And the theme doesn't have to be a really long phrase. Instead, just avoid that long phrases. Just select a specific word, or like 2 or 3 words at maximum. For example, it can be light, shadows, sky, or wind, floor, stone, metal, carbon, and these are really simple words, and this is how most projects are started. After selecting a couple of words, then try to brainstorm some ideas on them. For example, let's say you selected sky. What does come to your mind when you think of sky? It can be, I don't know, it's like massive, it covers the whole world, then it changes color, it's an habitat for different species, it's massive, like it contains water, it's colorful. Like there are so many words. Like try to like brainstorm these words and write them down. You can do that then on a mind map, or just like write it down normally, and then from those words like try to like think of how can you create a space that incorporates sky as its predominant focus and theme. After doing that, go online and search for some secondary research images like of artists and designers that have sky as one of their predominant focuses on their work. Once you have selected your artists and designers, then try to think of why is it that attracted you, and try to like come up with your own ideas on how you can respond to the project by both having your like research and like incorporating your research, and also responding to the theme given, or like in this case the theme selected. After that, do some sketches, drawings of your ideas, then try to like translate these sketches into a 3D model, and like very quick 3D models. It doesn't have to be some math level work, and that's a mistake that I've done as well last year. When creating like 3D models, I always like visioned these these works that you see on Pinterest or Instagram from actual practicing architects who has been in the field for like 20 past years or something, and obviously they are going to be really good on model making, drawing, and doing all this architectural stuff. But obviously we're not like them. We are like really beginners, so don't expect to produce work at those math levels. Instead, what most of us like beginners we are capable of is just making like really simple sketch models by using like simple things, like not simple, like really everyday things, like plain white paper. And trust me, you can literally do so much stuff with just like paper, tracing paper, a bit of cardboard, and you can make really interesting and different forms that you probably wouldn't even imagine that you could do all that stuff with really simple things. I'm just gonna put on the screen like some of the models that I've done with just using paper. It's not to flex myself, but it's just to like give some examples of you can do like a lot of stuff, just like glue them together, or like stick them, or like scrub them together, stuff like that, and create your own forms and experiment with it. And don't be disappointed if it doesn't come out like your beautiful drawing, because then like 3D modeling is just to understand and experiment with your forms and just get comfortable with the 3D model making. I'm also gonna put on the screen a book that I recommend you to get a PDF if you can find it, or like from Amazon. I think it costs like around £10 or something, or even less, and it's a book that has a lot of examples on the different ways that you can fold paper. And trust me, it's like really interesting. Like there are ways that you can fold paper and create some really unique and really like outstanding forms out of it, like simple A4 plain printing paper that you can find everywhere. Okay, after doing all this research, mind maps, drawings, and 3D models, make sure to not lose anything, and try to like sort out why you want to put in your portfolio. And one of the advantages of doing this type of personal projects is that you can really produce work and create a really good narrative, because it's like personal to you. I didn't didn't really do any of them because most of these projects were done in the extracurricular activities that I took part in. But if you can't find any activities that you can join in at the moment, then doing like these really quick personal projects, like, I don't know, exploring color, exploring shadows, or whatever you like, whatever you're interested in, and try to make like spaces like related to this theme. It's really good because you can, you know, create a really good narrative out of it, and it's better than, you know, just copying some drawings from Pinterest, or like copying some building from like Zaha did, or like the Burj Khalifa, like drawing them in a really realistic way and including them in your portfolio. And the third thing is that you can check online if there are any like free competitions or free projects for architecture. An example of a website that have a lot of like lectures, I don't know if they have projects, but they have like so many lectures related to architecture and the built environment. It's EDX. They have schools of architecture such as Harvard, MIT, Beijing University, like so many like these top universities of architecture doing like lectures. Maybe you can watch some of their lectures, and maybe if they have any task to do, you can complete this task and do some drawings if they ask you to. And even though like they don't have anything like that, you can produce some outcome from like drawings, 3D models. It's still a really good option to take part in these type of courses, because most of the time like they are free. I think if you want the certificate, then you have to pay, but they are like free lectures, free videos which you can take, and they are like can be like really interesting. So that's all for this video. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below. Also, you might as well subscribe and turn the notification bell on, and I'll see you in the next one.